What's up, boys and girls, Lambo here, and in today's video I'm gonna show you how to defend 12 pools in ZVZ with hedge first. So I'm gonna be talking about how to defend against the early links that try to kill your hatchery, and then I'm also gonna talk about how to follow up afterwards. So Sort of once again helped me out here for the ZVZ. He is the one who's gonna do the 12 pooling, so shout out to him. He also has a YouTube channel. He's called Sort of on YouTube, so if you check for Sort of SE2, I'm sure you can find it. So first off, I didn't cheat in any way, shape or form. I went hatch gas pool. If you have problem applying these things that I'm talking about in this video, you guys can go for hatch pool gas. The build order for that is simply you make the pool at 17, and then right after you make the gas, and then you just drone up. So the gas timing should be relatively similar. You're just gonna have less minerals, and then you also need to go for a 20 overlord. But we're also going into gas right away, so I'm just playing super standard. Now is when we see the Zerglings. Now is when we see the Zerglings, so now I know it's a 12 pool. So immediately once you realize it's a 12 pool, you go back on the minerals with this one drone, but you still mine gas with the other drones. And now there's gonna be some geniuses that are gonna say, but wait, your drones can mine more, even if they're more than 16, and minerals are really important here, right? You would need to stack the drones so they would mine efficiently on the faraway mineral patches, and in a very, very short amount of time where you're gonna have to pull them right after anyways, it's much better to just keep them on gas for gas mining, because that gas comes in handy later on, and you're gonna mine like a maximum of like 15 extra minerals from it. Maximum, probably not even, if we're being realistic. More likely than not, if you just put them back to the minerals, they will just run around without mining anything extra. So for the one guy that asked me this on my Discord, who tried to explain to me that more than 16 drones can mine efficiently, that's why we call you guys Twitch chat GMs. So yeah. We obviously do not make an overlord. We stay at 19 out of 19. So the moment you see the Zerglings, you do not make anything anymore. You're gonna start Zerglings as many as possible the moment the hatchery and the spawning pool are finished. You already pre-select all drones besides 6, so that makes it 13 drones, including all 3 of the gas drones. So what I usually do, and I seemingly messed this up this game, I realized I accidentally pulled too many, so I pulled 2 back, I think. Yeah. So what you do is I would select it like this, and then I would wait until this drone comes out, and I shift select this as well. And now you can see I have all of them selected. And then I would, I usually don't deselect actually. The way I do it is I select them like this, right? And then I wait until this drone comes out. And now we have 13 of the drones selected. And not, right? So if I select them like this looks weird right now because in-game I'm selecting on this drone, but I'm not actually selecting it right now. I'm basically just selecting all but 6 of the drones that are on the close mineral patches. Yeah, you have all the time to do that the moment you see the Zerglings. You have like 10 seconds to do that. So you pre-select those, and then the idea is you want to pull these drones and try to delay these Zerglings from hitting your hatchery. And the reason that 12 pool is so strong on light shade is because it's a very short rush distance. The Zerglings hit the hatchery, they arrive at the hatchery at around 153, especially if the like in this game he had the bad spawn. In the next game that I'm going to show you guys, he had the good spawn. Good spawn is a good spawn because my Lyra spawns towards the natural, so my links are going to be earlier here or here, whereas his Lyra spawns here, so they're going to be later to my hatchery. Right, so on smaller maps you pull your drones earlier, and on larger maps you pull your drones later. But so you guys don't need to learn any times, what you're supposed to do is I pull them the moment I see the links in range of the hatchery. So if you go into my vision, I look at the hatchery. The moment I see them run in, I will pull my drones. Yeah, that's just so you guys don't need to learn any of the distances. And then the moment your pool is done and your hatchery is done, you start the Zerglings first, not the queen, the Zerglings first, and then double queen.
Direct assault.
And this is going to be the easier defense. I think this is less optimal, but this should be easier for you guys. I'm going to show you guys 2 different ways of defending it. The first one is you try to go within a concave. And basically what you want to do is you want to intercept these 2 Zerglings to make those Zerglings stop attacking the hatchery. right? In this case, I almost even get one Zergling. But this is a lot of time wasted for the Zerglings where they're not attacking the hatchery. The entire goal is to delay until your Zerglings are out. So the more time these Zerglings are not in your hatchery, the better for you. And then, without swapping my camera around anywhere, I click on the mineral patches and I stack them. This should be possible on probably every single natural. Here you can even see I one-shot one Zergling. He should have not done that. But at this point he already knows he cannot kill the hatchery anymore because he wasted too much time. So what I want you guys to do is to do this. Try to intercept the two Zerglings. And then buy time like that. And then you just click on a mineral patch somewhere and stack them and wait until the Zerglings arrive. And if he doesn't really respond, if he just runs away with those two Zerglings, you can just fight with the drones and go in between mineral patch and the Zerglings. I'm gonna show something else off in a little bit. Then immediately you make 8 Zerglings, right? Your opponent is only gonna have 10 Zerglings overall. In this case 9 because he lost one. So when you're at 27 out of 28, you should make 1 pair of links and then an overlord. So you're gonna be supply blocked here, but this is on purpose. Besides, right now I'm actually just forgetting the overlord because I'm busy microing. Yeah, so this overlord is a little bit too late, but this is normal. This is 28 out of 28 supply block. So now he actually killed no drones, and that's the optimal scenario, right? The next step you do is you send some Zerglings across the map to scout. And the main thing that we want to scout for is if there's already 2 queens here. Usually at around 3 minutes you will arrive, and more often than not, players will pull their second queen from the main towards the natural, and if there are 2 queens, that means that it is not a speedling flat. The only thing that's scary at this point is a speedling flat. You can see that we're already ahead, and we're also ahead in gas. Our opponent actually went for a relatively early gas. So now let's talk about the follow-up. I pull back 1 or 2 drones back into gas to get my speed relatively early on. And then in a normal follow-up, what you do is you get a 3rd hatchery and you start an Evo chamber. And if your opponent is doing some weird Ling Bane all in, you just wall and give up the 3rd base. And if your opponent... basically the follow-up plays like a normal hatch first versus hatch first, but you go for a 3 hatch and your opponent is going for a 2 base build. That's basically how it plays. So all the things apply to it. Like if your opponent actually has enough units to kill your 3rd base, that means that you're gonna be ahead by just canceling it. And then at the same time, usually there's just not gonna be any pressures. You can just take a 3rd hatch without a Benny nest or anything like that. So that's why I stop mining, or only mine with 1 drone and gas. Here you can see the 3rd hatch. And yeah, our opponent actually went for Building Nest. I scouted that, obviously. You should be on the other side of the map with the Zerglings. Make sure that your overlords are not too close to his base, because 12 players at least have 3 queens afterwards if they play anything macro-oriented, and they have a very early creep tumor, so they can start chasing your overlords. So you can see how my overlords are very far away, but I have 1 Zergling here to make sure that he doesn't go around me with a Link Flat, or that I'm missing something, right? So now we're going Roach Warren, Evo Chamber, and I'm just gonna let this play out so you guys see. It's pretty straightforward. Since he has a Building Nest, I'm making some Zerglings, but I'm already ahead, right? I have Roaches at this point. And since I saw him even commit to a Ling Bane attack, I'm just gonna go and kill him with the Roaches that I have. I also faked a lair here. And yeah, at this one I just have much more, but this video is not about how the follow-up exactly is supposed to look. It's mostly about the defense. And then one thing I wanted to show you guys was... So with these drones, you have them hotkeyed, right? You want to run in a line. And now the 2 Zerglings would come here, and I would try to aim with the Zerglings. But what happens if he just runs away with the 2 Zerglings and keeps hitting the hatchery? That his Zerglings will stand something like this, right? And what you want to do is you want to attack from the side. So you can attack his Zerglings with more drones, and he needs to move all his Zerglings away. And then once he does that once or twice, even if he got a lot of attacks in, you can go back here to make sure and stack your drones. Well, I mess it up here, either here. This one is safer, so the drones don't go anywhere else. And this is how you stack, attack, stack, attack. If he comes close, you attack, otherwise you just stack. Once your links are out, you can always fight with drones and links. At that point, it's just micro, and I'm not really explaining you guys how to fight that, because you're gonna have 8 Zerglings and 13 drones minus however many you lost against 10 Zerglings, so you should not really lose that, if I'm being honest with you guys. So now let's go ahead into the second replay, in which I'm going for the response that you're gonna see me play in tournaments as well. I also only, as you can see, we only played 2 games, so it's not like I played a million games to have the perfect the perfect game. And again, once again, I played Lightship because this is the hardest map. I actually thought it was the hardest map. I forgot that we had Beckett now as well. In the map with Beckett is a little bit harder because it's even shorter. But Lightshade bottom spawn is pretty much the hardest we had last season at the very least. So once again, we're going to go for a hedge first. Then 18 gas, 17 pool. And we saturate the gas. And now we see the Zerglings. You might notice that at the time that we see the Zerglings, you're always going to be 19 out of 22. And you just moved the drone towards the gas. And you just started this drone. So how do you know if it's a 12 pool or a 12-11 or a 13-12? The way I do it is, first of all, I know by feeling, because it's right after I do this, as I said before, that I see the Zerglings come into my vision, and it kind of plays like that in every map, but to be entirely sure, I know the exact timing a Zergling is supposed to hit my natural. So I know that the Zergling is supposed to hit my natural at 153 on Lightshade when he has the top spawn. So I'm just gonna show that real quick. So yeah, I know exactly that the Zerglings have to come at this point. You either learn the timing at which you see the Zerglings exactly, or you learn the timing at which he hits your natural for every single map. It's relatively simple, honestly. And yeah, that's the easiest way of knowing if it's a 13-12 or a 12 pull. Because obviously against a 13-12 or a 12-11, you do not want to pull all your drones down, right? If he's hitting your hatchery basically as a fake 12 pull. Also, one thing I haven't talked about yet is shift click your overlord, because you will be microing by the time it hits your opponent's natural. So you don't forget it here. I'm pretty sure that will have happened to a lot of you guys. If you got 12 pulled, you forgot your first overlord here, and then it dies to the queen when it just casually walks down and kills it.
Hive cluster under.
I pulled too many drones here as well, on accident. I can't believe it. So this is not the perfect example. I was supposed to pull all but 6, but it doesn't really matter. I'm just gonna show you guys how the micro goes. The extra drones I don't think affected this too much. And this is a very, very safe amount of drones to pull, even minus the 2. And it's very early on. If you pull a different amount of drones, if you pull less drones, you could lose a drone or 2 more than with this. Also, if you pull your drones later, you can lose more. So the earlier and the more drones you pull, the less room for error you have, but also the easier the entire defense becomes. So this is one of the safer ways of doing it that I would suggest for you guys. So instantly we attack. We mineral walk towards our main base. You need to be very fast with clicking F1 and then mineral walking so the drone doesn't get caught. Now I deselected this drone, so it goes back to the main. The reason this is harder is because, as you can see, I keep having to go back and forth. You see, like there's more micro involved here. But this usually will keep your drones at more high HP. Because if you do this other move, you're gonna run through the Zerglings once. So usually you will end up losing 1 or 2 drones in the actual fight later on. So here I actually lose a drone, but the idea is the same. We wait until the Zerglings arrive, then we even drone drill here. And we ended up losing 2 drones, which is not too bad. And then play something very, very similar. And we scout at this point as well. I know by the fact that he already has 2 queens at 3 minutes, which they cannot have. They cannot have 2 queens at 3 minutes if they go for the link flat. And especially not 3 queens at 3 minutes 10, because they have less minerals, obviously, right? That this is not happening. Also, they would be constantly producing Zerglings. Let's say something else you can see. They can move some drones to the natural, but this would also be a tell that is not a link flat. And I don't really want to talk too much about how the follow-up goes. You guys can watch the replay yourselves. I'm just going to talk about the different 12 pool variations. So one thing that I am not going to talk too much about is going to be a 12 pool drone pull, because I defend it differently on every single map, and I can't go through that all now. But basically, I think the best for you the best version of a defense for you guys against 12 pool drone pull is you sneak a drone to the natural, and then you make a spine there. This is not at all what I would do on a high level game, but I think that's what you guys should do. Is you sneak down a drone to the natural, make a spine. You just stack the drones in the main base on the mineral patch at the start. Unless your opponent attacks the spine with 2 links, and you fight right away with your drones in main base. And then you also wait until your Zerglings spawn, and then fight with drones and Zerglings against his drones and Zerglings, and then you just reposition the spine and hold this ramp at the natural. I think that's probably what you guys should do, and your opponents are gonna mess up the micro, so more often than not, I think you guys will just win with Zergling drone against his Zergling drone, because they're gonna have way less. So it comes down a little bit to micro and execution in that case, but that's a completely different 12 pool that has nothing to do with this video. I already told you guys how to defend 12-11, so now let's talk about a different 12 pool follow-up, like the Ling Flood. Dark plays this sometimes, and he also played against me in a World Team League where I heavily over-defended, but I think you can do one of two things if you realize it's coming. One is you make a wall, relatively early, relatively simple. Two is you either go 3 or 4 queens and then just make Zerglings yourself, which this I think is the best response. Or even a spine if you're uncertain. But it's really easy to hold if you realize it's coming. So the biggest issue is recognizing that it is in fact on the way to your base. And then the other 12 pool follow-up, where you're gonna not see even a hatchery, is where they go gas and then they go Ling Bane all in with speed and then Banes. And if the moment you realize there is no hatchery in a natural, you go start 2 spines in the natural, or like 1 spine right away, I think, and then you start a 3rd queen. You go to the ramp with both queens, you even start 2 spine, 3 spine, 4 spine, as much money as you have basically, you just start spine crawlers. And wait, I will just show this real quick, and this might also help you guys because you guys are gonna see how the exact steps that I'm taking. So we now see the Zerglings coming, right? At this point I pull this back onto the minerals. And now what we're doing is we're selecting the drones, as I said before. All but 6, which makes 13 drones. We shift click this back. 153 is when he hits my hatchery, so this is where we go down. You press the mineral patch and then you press S, which is return cargo. Now we start the 8 Zerglings and then we like fight here, we go back. We fight. We see he attacks us, we go back, and so on and so forth. At this point, we start 1 more pair of links and then Overlord. And we're just running around here. It's a little bit dumb because there's no Zerglings here now. Now we start the Overlord. Now is when you run away here for a little bit with the 2 Zerglings. You want to start attacking once all the Zerglings are here. Now he has to go back because he's all-inning us. And yeah, the moment you realize this, you just spend all your money on spine crawlers.
More minerals required.
So the moment I realized there was no hatchery here, you can also stay here. And to be honest, I would not inject. So I would go to the ramp like this, start a 3rd queen, split up the Zerglings, start another spine. I would probably pull some of my drones back the moment he starts running into our base. And another spine, maybe in smart positions. You can also do things like hold position with some drones. We definitely want to go back into the main because there's gonna be some drones killed. You don't want to lose all of these drones because then you might actually end up behind. And then yeah, that's basically the defense. There is no way you can lose. This attack hits after the queens have 2 transfuses if you didn't inject as well. So just make sure your Zerglings are split, position nicely, make some spines, and don't make extra drones. I mean, for obvious reasons, right? And that's how I would defend this. And once you have this set up, you can start making drones again, pretty much. So this is how you defend a 12 pool into a Ling Bane all in later on. Then I also saw a 12 pool with a spine crawler, against which I'm pretty sure you can theoretically just give up your natural, but you can also hold it, I think, just with better drone micro. 12 pool with Banelings, I think against that you really just need to micro your drones. You can also pull the drones because he's gonna have so little Zerglings. And then just fight and then split. And to be honest, I think you can even save your hatchery very easily against that. And I'm not sure what other 12 pools annoy you, but if you guys have any, you can let me know in the comments. You can also make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, of course. I would love to reach 10,000 subscribers soon. So that's my goal for now on YouTube. I hope you guys can help me with that. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, as always, you can also let me know on my stream, twitch.tv/LamboKing. See you guys in the next video. Bye bye.